Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a glow up that I've gone through in 2025, and I guess the main areas that I've focused on in order to get to where I am. It's still a work in progress. This is just covering those kind of initial things that really made a huge difference. The first thing that I did, I guess, was I took care of my skin. So I actually used to suffer from acne. It was, I guess, enough of a problem for me that it did affect my confidence. It did affect how I approached life and how I felt about myself, which is never good. I probably started my skincare journey, I think I was in my mid-20s, and I was thinking, hang on a minute, I thought it was supposed to end when you became an adult, you get hormonal teenage acne, and it was still there, and it didn't look like it was slowing down anytime soon, and it was just very, very frustrating. So I made a decision one day that no, I'm going to do something about this. I'm over it. I went to a skincare place that did like facials and things. I ended up doing a series of I got a bit of a skin analysis. They suggested or recommended I get a skin peel, and they also did some extractions, which was a little bit scary and intense. What I kind of discovered, a lot of my acne was in the same areas. It kept coming up in the exact same areas. I would typically get it across the lower half of my face, particularly on my chin. So what we kind of discovered in amongst that, I had this just build up, I guess, underneath the skin that was never fully going away. So I was just constantly congested in those same areas, and it was just causing this repeat breakouts. In a sense, that was a good thing. We'd sort of got to the bottom of what was causing it, and the only way to kind of stop it was to get that out, essentially. They had to go in and do the old-fashioned squeezing them out, but it was definitely worth it. So between that and getting a bunch of peels done, my skin did gradually get better and better, and now it's actually been years now since I've had a peel, or since I've really gone and had a professional treatment done. Once all that old build-up was out, I basically kept up a maintenance routine, and that has prevented me from having ongoing breakouts. That doesn't mean that I don't get any more pimples at all. Of course, it happens naturally. I don't really get massive pimples anymore. Interestingly, when COVID started and we all had to go and work from home all of a sudden, and I wasn't wearing makeup every day, still getting these little whitehead pimples. So my actual bad, clearly pimple acne had gone away, but I was still getting these little flare-ups, these little tiny little whiteheads was what they looked like, little white pussy ones kind of in the middle of my cheek, sometimes around my mouth and around my nose, around my nostril. And it was really frustrating. These clearly looked different to the breakouts that I'd had in the past, but it still to me looked like pimples. That was my experience. I discovered that it was actually perioral dermatitis, which is dermatitis on your face. So while it was really good to discover what it was kind of a separate journey to then work out how to clear that up. So I kind of went through this skincare journey for pimples, which then turned into a bit of a dermatitis journey. And now that I'm more aware of all that on my skin is actually in a really healthy place right now. Even when I'm not wearing makeup, it tends to be quite even and a bit glowy. My skin is naturally very red, so it doesn't matter what skincare I use, I'm always going to have, a bit of pink in my face, but I'm not so uncomfortable to go places without makeup now, whereas before it was just impossible. So that was kind of the first journey I went on. So I was already, I guess, on this journey in terms of my skin and my skincare for quite a while. It was that first step. Once my skin was cleared up, that kind of naturally flowed itself into me improving my makeup game. So my makeup used to literally be foundation, which for the longest time I applied with my hands, and I didn't really use any brushes or tools or anything like that. Literally, I would do foundation, concealer, I would do my eyebrows with pencil. We're talking back in the 2018 where we all did the very perfect, immaculate, sculpted brows. Mascara, I wouldn't even do eyeshadow or eyeliner unless I was going out. If I was going out for dinner or generally on a night out, then I would do eyeshadows and things like that, but I didn't really otherwise day to day. I would do my structured brows and then just mascara. I wouldn't do blush, I wouldn't do contour, I wouldn't do bronzer because, again, fair skin, we can't touch bronzer. What do you mean? I'm pretty sure I looked like a moon. It was just really flat face. I think it's maybe lucky that I do kind of have the high cheekbones, so I naturally had a slight shadow on my cheek, which I do get kind of naturally. That is the only saving grace to my otherwise moon face makeup. I just didn't know what looked good on my skin, I guess. And back then, you know, I was using fake tan quite a lot. In my mind, it was just tone down the redness at all costs. And more recently, I kind of started to improve elements of my makeup. I started to add in a little bit of eyeshadow. I toned down the eyebrows, made my eyebrows look a little bit more natural. And this year, in fact, more recently, I've really found what I kind of think works well for my skin, like good foundations. Even in turn, now I think more about how I apply them as well. For example, I'm in my 30s now. I've got fine lines and stuff around my eyes. I know that powder baking doesn't really work for me now. I feel like it really ages my eyes. It doesn't create the lines, I guess, but it shows up these lines that I didn't even know I had. And actually using kind of a less is more approach with setting powder works much better for me. As you can see, I think my foundation kind of looks, or my complexion looks really glowy now. So I think I've found that kind of right balance of how much powder to use, how much coverage to use, how to set it. I use setting spray now, which is something I definitely never used to do. I prefer a bit more of a dewy, glowy effect, whereas I used to prefer that really matte kind of look, because again, I feel like that stems from back when I used to have pimples and it's like, oil bad, we can't have oil, so must powder. That was kind of the motivation, I'm guessing, behind the approach that I had at that time. Things like using a brown mascara is more of a recent discovery, or a rediscovery maybe, because I am, again, very fair. I'll probably talk about this a lot, but I am quite fair. I don't know if it translates across on camera, but I am very fair. I make babies look tan. That is not a joke. That is a fact. So I am very conscious of the colors and stuff that I use now. So rather than fighting my skin tone, I'm kind of embracing it and using things that work for it rather than against it. So brown mascara tends to work a lot better, and I think it makes my eyes are blue. It really makes them pop and makes them look, I feel, a little less grey. For a bit of an everyday look, I use a taupe coloured eyeshadow crayon, like a cream, I guess. Finding the right technique for your skin type, for the products that you're using, because it might vary based on the products that you're using. The product is important, but the technique is also really important too. Honestly, it's really experimentation. Makeup should be a bit fun. We obviously put it on to go about our day and whatever, but it should be a little bit fun as well. Something else, not just obviously working for your skin tone, but also working your features. My features I've got somewhat hooded eyes, so you kind of have to do your makeup a little bit different. Like a lot of people that did makeup tutorials and stuff will always have these big lids, really open eyes, which look really great with makeup, but it's not, I would always kind of be like, why are these not working for me? Like, what's going on? And it's because I've got hooded eyes. So different techniques work. I can put whatever I want on my lid, but as soon as I look straight ahead, you can't see it. It's not there. Really kind of looking at yourself and being like, okay, what are my features? What of these kind of techniques and looks and stuff that I'm finding? What elements of those will work with what I've got, and what do I need to tweak? Because, we all have really unique faces. There's no point trying to fight what you've got. Work with it. Find what works with your skin, what works with your facial structure and your eye structure, and to go with that. You kind of don't need to try and make yourself look like people who look very different to you. Take elements of that, apply it to yourself, but know it's going to look a little bit differently, and that doesn't mean it's going to look worse. It just means it's going to look like you with that particular style. So that's my skin and makeup. In my mind, these are very chronological, get your skincare situation sorted so that your skin is as healthy as it can be, and then your makeup will naturally sit nicer on it regardless of what you've got going on. And that's kind of the order that I guess I did mine in. So skin first, then makeup. And then the third major part of my glow up has been elevating my style, my personal style. And it's also arguably been the funnest one for me the most fun. What I did, like I had quite a lot of changes in my life in 2024, and I ended up moving to Melbourne, which is something I've wanted to do for the longest time, but it's still quite an upheaval. It was a bit of an upheaval for my pets. I have a dog and a cat, but yeah, big changes for me last year. But as part of that, I kind of made that final decision that I'm need to change some stuff about my life. I need to change how I show up for myself, and therefore how I then show up in the world. Despite improving my skin and feeling good about how my makeup and stuff was looking, I still wasn't feeling very confident or very happy with myself. Wasn't happy with how I was dressing, and I've always had this really strong interest in fashion. I can remember when Polyvore was a thing. I used to create little collage, outfit collages on Polyvore. I even started an Instagram. But I've always had this strong interest in fashion, and I would say that I've always been able to put together these kind of looks. But what I always struggled with was applying them to myself. And also there was this weird mental thing where I felt like I didn't have permission to do it. It seemed like, I don't want to go wasting my money kind of buying all these clothes or whatever. I've never really bought a lot of clothes, and I kind of keep clothes forever. So I just had all of these clothes that I've had since I was a teenager, just about, which are just not good. They were cheap when I bought them at the time, so they haven't stood the test of time, and they're usually not timeless pieces. I got to this stage where I was like, I feel like I'm honestly dressing like a kid. I feel like a kid that doesn't know how to dress themselves, even though I have a good understanding of what I want to be wearing. I just couldn't seem to translate that into outfits for myself. And I ended up personally booking with a personal stylist sisters, Jenny and Kim from Well Dressed. I'll tag them here. And they helped me. So I did the whole consultation thing and then a shopping day with them. I knew that I wanted to start fresh with a new wardrobe. And yeah, they took me. It was just the most fun day. I'll add some photos. It was the most fun day. The first outfit I put on, I honestly just felt transformed straight away. Oh my God, it just made such a big difference for me. They took me to shops that I never would have walked into by myself. They gave me a good, it's kind of the capsule wardrobe theory or concept. They kind of helped me understand my colors, works for me and what doesn't work for me. And what we kind of discovered is that I wear a lot of black. Black is not my color. Black is not my color. We said this with the mascara. Black is not my color. That doesn't mean I can't wear black, but I shouldn't be wearing as much black as what I have been wearing. If I want to look my best, if I want to look my brightest, black is just not the color that brings out the best features in me, because I'm so fair, because it's quite a draining color on me. I'm fairly low contrast in my features. It's just not the best color to bring out the best parts of my features. They got me to like brown. I never ever thought I'd be a brown person. Sometimes you just need the help of someone who knows what they're talking about. And I got the benefit of, two fantastic sisters who I absolutely love. We're friends now. And yeah, it made such a difference. We've spoken about it since, just we knew when this first outfit, it was a white Victorian Woods, pant and sleeveless vest set. I was transformed straight away. It was never something I would not have picked myself to wear in a million years. I just would never have picked that up and put it on, but I put it on, and just the possibilities to me are endless. It's really hard feeling to describe, but yeah, at the time I was just like, why can't I wear something like this? Why can't I kind of wear these things that all these beautiful, elegant, sophisticated ladies wear? It did introduce me to brands where if I wanted to invest that bit extra in better quality fabrics, I can do it. And by doing it in a way of a capsule wardrobe, for me, my capsule wardrobe includes things that I can mix and match in my day-to-day wardrobe that I can wear to work. But the idea is that you kind of have this array of clothes in these different colors that all mix and match and work together. And that's essentially what these stylists helped me to do, and what you could certainly do yourself without the help of a stylist. There's a lot of resources on YouTube. I'm going to obviously post some videos about it, so I hope maybe I can help you achieve it yourself as well. But there's a lot of resources out there. So if you're not in a position to be able to hire a stylist to help you, then by all means, you can absolutely do it by yourself. But if you're able to, it is a really fun and rewarding experience. And for me, it's been worth the investment tenfold. And I'm really happy with how my capsule wardrobe looks now. Something else that I did kind of following this shop, because I'm like, I wanted to make sure that I was wearing all the clothes that I bought. So I spent a little bit more on clothes than I might normally. So I wanted to make sure I was wearing them. I use an app called Stylebook. Now I actually purchased, it was a once-off purchase to get this app, and I did it years ago because again, I've actually always been interested in fashion, just struggled to apply it to myself. So I only had to re-download it, which was great. But basically it's like a virtual wardrobe or a digital wardrobe. And then you put together looks. So I put together, it was like a game for me. When I'm bored, I'll just kind of play around and put together different looks. So then during the week, it's just a non-event. You know, I get up in the morning, it doesn't matter how much time I've got to get ready. I know exactly what I'm wearing, so I can just grab it off the rack, chuck it on, good to go. So I find that really useful, and that's helped me elevate my style because I'm not kind of rushing around in the morning being like, oh my God, what do I wear? And where I used to previously think that I had nothing to wear, as it turns out, now I've got heaps to wear because I've played around with it. I've used the app or I've played around with it in person. My wardrobe has now been put together purposefully with a lot of thought. It's almost like a curated wardrobe now. So everything goes with everything. It's a very mix and match wardrobe. My wardrobe isn't big anymore. My wardrobe's quite small, but because I've spent time curating this wardrobe, it doesn't need to be big. So I'm very big on that minimalist wardrobe, I guess. My style is very much more classic pieces. The concept of keeping your wardrobe or keeping my wardrobe quite neutral means that I add interest in my outfits through accessories. Like that's kind of how I want to curate my wardrobe. It's like the clothes themselves tend to be fairly neutral in color. That doesn't mean I can't get a bright colored blouse if I don't want to, you know what I mean? But generally speaking, my wardrobe would be quite neutral, and then where I kind of add trendy or points of interest or color or whatever to my outfit would be via accessories, whether it's jewelry, bags, silk scarves. I know they're becoming a bit of that is a trend I can get around. I quite like the silk scarf thing. Shoes, even just like jackets and things you can kind of get away with the kind of more once-off bits, and it makes it easier then in a sense, because then you're only having to pick, you know, one or two things rather than you buy this really trendy top and you can only then wear it with like one other item in your wardrobe. It just doesn't work. It's not as versatile. So I'm very keen these days using more or buying things that are a lot more versatile. So yeah, that's kind of how I elevated my style, my fashion. And the more I do it, the more I fall in love with fashion. I'm so interested in it, which is kind of what's led me to starting this channel. So that's kind of the three main areas that I focused on in order to achieve my glow up that I had in 2025. The biggest thing that I got from my glow up was the absolute self-confidence to take on anything. Honestly, you do the right things for yourself and you will naturally stand taller. You'll approach your work in a more confident way. You'll feel more comfortable around meeting new people. I'm a raging introvert, don't get me wrong, but I don't doubt myself quite in the same way as I did before. It's really weird how doing these random things give you that sense of confidence. It's actually not this superficial thing that it may seem like it is. It actually has quite a lot of psychology or something to it. I don't know. But for me, I really did notice a difference in how it was making me feel, and it had all these flow-on effects. And I find that it's like a momentum thing. So once you kind of do one thing and it makes you feel a bit good, you're more likely to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So it's this snowball effect. And when you're feeling good and when you're feeling confident, you tend to make better decisions for yourself as well. So there's a lot of reasons, and they don't have to be really superficial. Doing things for yourself, whatever they may be, why that's such a good idea. So I hope you enjoyed my video. This is my first YouTube video. So if you've got any feedback, if you've got any requests for future videos, I would love to hear them. Please pop it in the comment section below. I'll definitely read them, and feel free to follow me. I'm going to also post content on Instagram and hopefully TikTok as well. And yeah, thank you for watching this far. Thanks guys. Bye.